Shalom, family. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, in the name of His Son, Yeshua.
Amen.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to pull out those vital nuggets of wisdom you need.
That's the goal.
And today, look, we're plunging into a topic that I think touches nearly all of us. It's emotional spending. You know the drill, right? That bad day at work. And somehow it just translates into a new gadget in your Amazon cart.
Happens all the time.
Or maybe it's that, treat yourself Starbucks run that feels less like a treat and more, I don't know, like a refund.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah.
Or those sneakers you absolutely had to have after a really draining week. We've all felt it, that pull where our moods just dictate our purchases, almost without thinking.
And that's exactly where we need to hit pause, isn't it? Because the world, it's constantly shouting, buy now, pay later.
Right.
And it tells us, oh, retail therapy will fix your mood. But for those of us called to follow Yahweh, we're held to a completely different standard.
A kingdom standard.
Precisely. His ancient wisdom, it's timeless, still so relevant, urging us to count the cost, like it says in Luke.
Okay.
And instead of chasing those quick fixes, those fleeting highs, we're taught to cultivate a deep contentment. Paul tells Timothy, godliness with contentment is great gain.
That's powerful.
So our mission today really is to explore how we navigate our finances, how we align our spending with kingdom stewardship, managing what Yahweh's entrusted to us.
Not as our own stuff, but as His.
Exactly, as part of His plan, not just driven by our shifting emotions.
That's a really strong framework to start with. So let's really unpack this. Why do we actually fall into that trap, emotional spending?
Yeah.
I mean, beyond just saying, oh, my mood made me do it. What's happening under the surface? Psychologically, it's incredibly well documented. Like sadness can trigger what they call compensatory consumption.
Right, spending to feel better.
Yeah, we spend more to cope, maybe fill an emotional void, get that little dopamine hit, boredom. That often pushes us towards impulse buys just because our brains want stimulation, novelty. Shopping's easy.
It's right there on our phones.
Exactly. And stress. Oh, man, stress can lead to almost reflexive add-to-cart clicks. Just instant gratification to, ease that overwhelm for a second. Have you ever, recognized one of those specific triggers in your own spending?
Oh, absolutely. And you've highlighted the modern insights perfectly. But what's truly profound, really fascinating, is how timeless these truths are.
Okay.
Long before psychology was even a field, Yahweh's word shone a light on this exact struggle. At its core, this emotional spending, it often points to something deeper.
Like what?
A lack of self-control, or maybe, more accurately, a kind of misplaced trust. Proverbs paints this vivid picture for us, chapter 25. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
Wow. Completely vulnerable.
Exactly. Imagine a city with no defenses, open to every attack. That's our spirit when we lack self-control, just open to every emotional whim, every tempting ad. This isn't just about, messing up the budget.
It's bigger than that.
It's a spiritual discipline deficit.
Okay.
Galatians reminds us self-control is a fruit of the Spirit. So if our financial discipline is shaky, if our wallets are getting tossed around by every feeling, it's often a direct reflection of a deeper spiritual struggle. It really shows where we're seeking our comfort, our security. Is it in Yahweh or is it in the stuff?
That connection.
Yeah.
Wow. Between our bank account and our spirit, that's incredibly powerful. It shifts everything, doesn't it? From just managing numbers to something way more profound.
It has to.
So, okay, if emotional spending is a spiritual issue, how do we actually approach it? Someone trying to live a kingdom-focused life right now means we've got to look beyond just secular budgeting tips, right? And really understand Yahweh's laws on stewardship.
Yeah.
When we look at the Torah, Yahweh gave us these commandments, not as restrictions just to be difficult, but more like protective boundaries.
That's a great way to put it. Protection for our well-being, spiritually and financially. They're like guardrails on a steep mountain road designed to keep us safe.
Okay, that makes sense.
And Yahweh doesn't just permit wise financial management. He commands it. And he promises blessings for it. Look at Proverbs 21. There is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up.
Clear contrast there.
Very clear. It contrasts the foresight, the planning, the self-discipline of a wise steward with the impulsive, wasteful nature of the foolish. The wise save, they invest. The foolish just squander.
And the blessings.
Oh, they're tangible. Deuteronomy 28 promises that when we walk in obedience, Yahweh shall open unto thee his good treasure, to bless all the work of thine hand. Now, this isn't prosperity gospel.
Right. Important distinction.
It's a principle of divine order. So we connect this to the bigger picture. Overspending, racking up debt, reckless shopping. It's not just bad budgeting in a worldly sense.
It signifies something deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lack of discipline that can creep in, become sin, and actually hinder the flow of Yahweh's intended blessings. It makes us ask a tough question. Are we treating the resources Yahweh gave us with the reverence and wisdom he commands?
Or are we undermining his blessings with our emotional choices? That's a serious challenge.
Yeah.
It really reframes how we see our money. It's not just managing numbers, it's honoring Yahweh, aligning with his will.
Fundamentally.
So, okay, with that solid foundation, how do we move from these spiritual insights to practical steps? How do we actually take control, foster kingdom-focused finances?
Right, the how-to.
Yeah, we've kind of distilled it into 4 core kingdom budgeting principles for you. Let's start with number 1. Track your spending by emotion. This goes beyond just noting what you bought. The real power, it seems, is understanding why you bought it. Seems simple, but maybe incredibly revealing. How would someone start that?
Think of it like a personal financial journal, but maybe even a spiritual audit of your impulses.
Okay, I like that. A spiritual audit.
Yeah. When you make any purchase, big or small, jot down what it was, the cost, sure, but then, crucially, pause. And honestly ask yourself, what emotion was driving me right before I decided to buy this?
Be really honest.
Brutally honest. Was it that surge of frustration after a tough conversation? That gnawing boredom scrolling late at night? Maybe even a subtle insecurity after seeing someone else's perfect life online?
Right.
I remember a brother in our community realized almost all his fast food runs happened when he felt overwhelmed by work, not when he was actually hungry.
He wasn't buying food.
He was buying a momentary escape from stress. Identifying that specific trigger, that's the first really powerful step toward getting control.
That makes so much sense. It's really about self-awareness, isn't it? Seeing the pattern.
Absolutely.
Okay, so once we understand why we're spending, how do we plan for the joy Yahweh wants for us, but without falling back into the old habits? That brings us to principle number 2. Budget for joy, but within Yahweh's order. Now, some might hear budget for joy and think, wait, doesn't that just encourage more spending? How does that work?
That's a great question, and it's a common misunderstanding. Look, Ecclesiastes tells us there's nothing better for a man than to eat and to drink and to be merry. Yahweh absolutely desires our joy.
Right.
The key difference here is intentionality and discipline. Within Yahweh's order means you're proactively, consciously allocating a specific amount for fun money, or whatever you want to call it, in your budget.
So it's planned, not reactive.
Exactly. It's not spontaneous emotional spending. By planning for it, you actually prevent those feelings of deprivation or resentment that often lead to the impulsive splurges later.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
You're consciously choosing how to enjoy Yahweh's blessings responsibly, rather than letting your feelings make the choice for you.
I've often wondered, if sometimes the shopping or those treat-yourself moments are really just numbing a deeper pain or stress. Like, what if we're constantly trying to fill a void that stuff can never truly fill? That leads us right into principle number 3. Deal with the root cause spiritually.
And that is such a critical insight, because you're absolutely right. Material fixes, they only ever give temporary relief, like a Band-Aid on a deep wound.
Right.
If you find yourself using purchases to numb pain, anxiety, loneliness, stress, the biblical solution is clear. Turn to prayer and fasting instead.
Prayer and fasting.
Yes. Isaiah 58 describes the kind of fast Yahweh desires. Is not this the fast that I have chosen? To loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free. True healing, true freedom, it comes from deeper spiritual engagement.
Down from them all.
We have to remember, healing comes from Yahweh, not Amazon Prime. It's about taking that spiritual emptiness, that distress, directly to our Creator, letting Him provide the comfort, the peace we're really seeking, instead of trying to patch it with another online order.
Powerful, truly powerful shift from consumption to connection with Yahweh. Okay, and finally, principle number 4, give without spending. Now, we often think giving means money, right? But this principle says it's broader than that.
Much broader. Acts 20 tells us it is more blessed to give than to receive. And while, yes, financial giving, tithing, those are crucial.
Well, absolutely.
This principle expands our whole understanding of generosity. Giving doesn't always mean buying gifts or writing a check.
So what else could it be?
It can involve generously offering your time to someone who needs help, sharing your wisdom, your experience with a younger brother or sister in the faith, providing valuable service to your community.
Like acts of service.
Exactly. I know a sister who, instead of buying birthday gifts, started dedicating a day of service to her friends, helping them paint, organize something, or just being fully present to listen.
That's amazing.
And she found it created much deeper connections, brought her immense joy. It completely shifted her focus from consumption to contribution. It fosters that true spirit of generosity that aligns perfectly with kingdom values. And it reveals the real abundance we have in Yahweh's provision beyond just money.
Now let's try and tie these ancient, powerful truths into our world right now. Because these dynamics, they're playing out constantly, every day, especially online.
Oh, yeah.
Just look at social media trends. You see things like little treat culture.
Yeah.
These small, frequent purchases framed as self-care, but often driven by needing a quick mood boost.
That instant hit again.
Or quiet luxury. Pushing this aesthetic of understated wealth, which can easily trigger feelings of inadequacy if you feel you can't participate.
Keeping up with the Joneses, digitally.
Right. These aren't just about products.
Yes.
They're powerful cultural currents pushing consumption that's driven by feelings, by the desire for momentary boosts, validation, a certain image. It's like a constant siren call to buy, buy, buy.
And this leads us straight to that powerful, honestly kind of sobering analogy from Jeremiah, chapter 2. Yahweh lamented that his people had forsaken him, the fountain of living waters, and instead had hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water.
Wow. Broken cisterns.
That's what so much emotional spending and these modern trends really are, broken cisterns. We're chasing feelings through buying, hoping that new thing, that little treat, that luxury vibe will finally fill us up, bring lasting satisfaction.
But they can't.
They can never truly satisfy because they're not the living waters that only Yahweh provides. They leave us empty or often in debt and always thirsty for the next purchase. It's a cycle.
And believe me, I have lived that truth. I remember a time a few years back, I maxed out a credit card. Purely because work stress was just overwhelming. It felt like I was buying relief, buying myself a moment of peace. But then later, after that temporary high wore off, I had this profound realization. I was chasing peace in purchases.
Trying to buy it.
Yeah, when Yahweh had already told me, right there, in his word, John 14, peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Let me tell you, that credit card bill hit harder than the stress ever did.
I bet it did. A tough lesson.
It was such a stark reminder. True, lasting peace comes from Yeshua, not from a shopping cart, period.
Your experience just perfectly illustrates that spiritual reality. It's that moment of clarity so many of us have faced or maybe need to face. But what's the key, do you think, to sustaining that so we don't just fall back into those broken cisterns next time stress hits?
This is the real challenge, isn't it? Because clarity can fade. For me, it came down to two things, really. First, actually putting those kingdom principles into practice, tracking my emotions with purchases. That brought the unconscious stuff right out into the open.
Making it conscious.
Exactly. Second, and this was maybe more important, deepening my spiritual disciplines before the storm hit, like intentionally investing more time in prayer, more time in the Word daily.
Building resilience.
Yeah, so that when the stress came, my first instinct wasn't to open a shopping app, but to actually open my heart to Yahweh. It sounds simple, but those small, consistent acts of intentionality really reinforce the spiritual truth over the emotional pull.
That's absolutely crucial. It's not just crisis management. It's building that spiritual resilience day by day. Family, as we wrap this up, emotional spending, it really boils down to a fundamental test, doesn't it?
Who do you trust?
Exactly. Do we trust Yahweh or do we trust the world? The world, like in its pursuit of commerce, consumption, it's constantly trying to ensnare us.
And not just in fleeting desires, but often in actual debt. Proverbs 22 warns us so clearly. The borrower is servant to the lender.
And that's not just an economic fact. It's a spiritual reality. Debt can bind us. It limits our freedom, our ability to serve Yahweh fully, diverse resources from kingdom building.
But Yahweh's desire for us is freedom.
Total freedom. Freedom from that bondage, freedom from worry, freedom to live a life of true kingdom stewardship, empowered to fulfill his purpose for us. His call is for us to be set apart, debt-free, ready to truly build his kingdom.
Amen to that.
So let's really commit, family. Let's stop letting our emotions drain our pockets. Let Yahweh's word be the ultimate guide for our spending. Let's align our financial habits with his divine wisdom.
So we can be set apart.
Set apart, debt-free, and fully ready to build the kingdom. And just remember this as you go forward, a final thought to really chew on. Our true treasures are in heaven, not in the mall. That's straight from Yeshua in Matthew 6.
Makes you really think, where are you truly investing your heart and your resources?
Exactly.
Shalom, family. If this deep dive resonated, if it sparked something or maybe offered a path forward, please share it. Share it with someone you know who might be, shopping your feelings way. Let's spread this kingdom wisdom.
Yes, let's do that.
Stay disciplined, stay kingdom bound, and remember where our ultimate treasure really is. Shalom.